22nd. It's my brother's birthday. Good evening. Welcome to the June 22nd Village Board work session. This meeting is called to order. We'll begin with the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Trustee Bazemore.
Present.
Trustee Gazada.
Present.
Mayor Garrity.
Present.
We have one resolution this evening. Is there anyone here who wishes to address the board on the resolution? I just need your name.
Welcome.
Thank you. My name is John Van Steen. I live at 78 South Highland Avenue here in Ossining, New York. And I got home this evening to open an email to see that the resolution regarding for a public hearing for the Emergency Tenant Protection Act be instituted. May I ask the board their reasoning behind this?
Why we're holding a public hearing or why we're considering ETPA?
Why you're considering ETPA?
Okay. We've had a few work sessions about it. The goal is to preserve as much affordable housing in the community as possible. And this is one method that allows us to target some of the buildings. I don't remember the exact number. We did a study of what our housing availability is. We did a study regarding the vacancy rate, and because our vacancy rate is particularly low, we are a community that has been identified as being eligible to take advantage of this program.
Mm-hmm.
The process for tonight is simply to establish a public hearing so that we can further discuss it and hear concerns and suggestions from the public on it.
Okay.
But as far as from a legal perspective, Corporation Counsel can weigh in, and I know that it's been strongly advocated by Trustee Bazemore if he wants to comment.
Mm-hmm.
So as the mayor said, currently our vacancy rate for overall housing here in Ossining is 3.28%. Anything under 5% is an emergency, and for rental units it's 1.23%. So actually right now in Ossining we are in a housing crisis. So as the mayor already said, this is one way to preserve. There are two ways to address affordable housing. One way is to preserve and to create more units, and these are one of the options that we do have.
The board is aware that that Ossining as a community has more affordable housing than most other, if not all other, communities in Westchester County.
So the board is aware of two properties that I know offhand, being Snowden Avenue with 124 units, and then the Maple House project. There's actually affordable housing. The only way that we can actually offer affordable housing is actually through our voucher programs. And given the fact that we are a community of 25,000 people here in the village, I think we could say that 250 units or so, plus the vouchers, maybe 500, please don't quote me, I don't have the numbers in front of me, may not be enough for 25,000 residents.
You know what? We've taken a lot of liberties in how we're engaging on this. Typically, we just ask the public to state a comment,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll take it under advisement. But John, I know you, and clearly you've come here with some concerns.
And I appreciate that. And as an unprepared comment on this, Trustee Bazemore and I had a discussion on this recently. My opinion is that this is ill-advised for Ossining, that it does not serve the purposes of the community for which the board is entrusted, and that it brings into a hardship case the types of properties, the old properties in Ossining that are particularly in need of having a proper business plan. So I will voice my opposition to this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
I just also wanted to point out procedurally, if the gentleman would like his comments to be on the record, he's welcome to put them in writing, and we would get them in once we've opened the hearing. The hearing will be opened on the 20th if you should move forward on this. It doesn't mean that it will be closed. If he's not available on the 20th, certainly written comments are going to be accepted as well.
Thank you, Corporation Counsel. All we're looking at tonight is if we want to All we're looking at tonight is if we want to have a public hearing so that we can hear officially comments from the public, such as yours. I mean, obviously, we sat in a room and heard them, but for them to be officially heard, they would either be at the public hearing or in writing sometime during when the public hearing is open, which, as you pointed out, would be beginning on July 20th. We call for the public hearing to make sure there's plenty of notice so that everybody in the community who's interested in finding out about it has an opportunity to voice their concerns so that we can take it under consideration before we take any action. So, shall we move forward with that so that we have an opportunity to hear more concerns and consider it?
We'll move on to Resolution A, call for opening of public hearing consideration of the Emergency Tenant Protection Act as applied to qualifying rental properties in the Village of Ossining. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Ossining hereby calls for the opening of a public hearing to take place at the Birdsall-Fagan Police Court Facility, 8688 Spring Street, in Ossining on July 20th, 2016 at 7:30 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the matter may be heard, to provide an opportunity for public comment as to whether the protections of the Emergency Tenant Protection Act should be applied to qualifying multifamily rental properties in the Village of Ossining. Under consideration are multifamily rental properties of 6 or more units which were occupied prior to January 1st, 1974, and be it further resolved that the Board of Trustees shall also be considering the appropriateness of adoption of a disability rent increase exemption and a senior citizen rent increase exemption for persons living in ETPA qualifying units, should the protections of the ETPA be duly applied in the Village of Ossining. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
On the board. Does anyone want to comment further? Please.
Thank you, John. Actually, for your comments, as that was pointed out before, we are opening this meeting on the July 20th, but the board, as a board, we can actually hold it open as much as we can to get all the comments from the community. As I recall, I have addressed or I have mentioned that we need to contact all the property owners and every single person that is in stake on this particular building, that we making the particular addressing the ETPA portion. So I would like to make sure that all those communities, all those people, every single of those owners, I should say, that they may be affected or they may be benefit on this, be contact. So that's just my only comment that I have on this.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Opposed? Do I have a motion to adjourn into a work session?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Right. And with that, we transition into work session. Thank you,
Sure.
Madam Clerk. And I'll begin with a few comments. As you can see, we're a quorum, but we're as a tiny a group as we can be and still conduct business. So I thank you to my colleagues who are here while our other colleagues are out of town. But we do have one comment of note to make as far as personnel. Obviously, Interim Manager Paul Fraioli, he stepped into this role at the beginning of the month, and we are very grateful for his expertise being lent in this new way to the village. And he has agreed, and the board has asked, that he continue in this role through the end of the year, particularly taking us through this year's budget cycle. And we are that'll be getting underway in a couple of months. We're pleased that he's willing to take that on. And then at the end of December, we'll revisit it and see what makes sense going forward, what the board and Paul's druthers are at that time. So many people have asked, and we wanted to let it be known that this is at least for the next several months. So thank you. Any other comments about exciting things happening in the community before we hit the agenda?
Just St. Anne's, there's a festivity that usually comes every year. So they started yesterday and they're going to go on until the 26th. So it's a family event. Everybody, I know a lot of people go there. So just as a side note, I guess, is going on right now, actually. So
Yes.
if you're not watching,
Been
if
there
you don't want to
twice.
watch the rest of our meeting, you can definitely go to St. Anne's Festival. So it's a pretty cool event, especially for the kids. So
And if you're in walking distance, please walk.
Ribbon cutting.
Oh, yes. So tomorrow at 11 o'clock, we are very excited to be officially dedicating Henry Gordine Park at the waterfront and doing a ribbon cutting for the new Harbour Square development. It's open to the public. If it's good weather, it'll be particularly magnificent. If it's not, we'll still figure it out. It's been many, many years coming, and I know that folks have been watching with great interest in all of the progress that's happened there with the playground and the sculptures and the open space and the large building and the soon-to-be restaurant. There's an awful lot happening there, so we're very pleased to officially be welcoming the public to it tomorrow. Am I forgetting anything else?
yes,
Okay.
the 30th.
The 30th.
Fireworks.
Okay, tell everybody.
You can fill in. I guess it's it's next Thursday, the 30th, down in Waterfront. It's going to be an event. Happens every year here with the collaboration between the town and the village, and it's going to be a super excellent event. Now that we're going to be, I believe, Paul may be able to help me out with this, but are we going to be using part of the
Yes,
park?
Harbour Square will be
Harbour
open just
Square
in
Park?
time.
So it's going to be a pretty interesting event. I think a couple years back we used it when it was empty at that point, and it was an excellent point of view for the fireworks. And I think this year's going to be even better. So.
And KG Dennert starts music at 7:30?
7 o'clock, I believe.
Okay, and then the music continues after the fireworks are at 9:15, and then the music continues with Powderfinger after that. So it's a fun night for all, and we're grateful for all of the resources in the village and town that come together to make that a success, and I look forward to seeing thousands of people there that night. All right. Manager Farley?
Thank you, Mayor, Board. Just to append the discussion on the park ribbon cutting tomorrow, Corporation Council has been working with Ginsberg Development in executing, which I did this evening and sent over for their review and subsequent execution themselves, the memo of understanding with regard to use of the park prior to the subdivision being formally filed. So that was part and parcel with the use of the park. So once that's executed, which it will be by Ginsberg tomorrow, we will be able to have the ribbon cutting and open the park to the public for good. And that's a nice component. And yes, Trustee Casada, it is going to be even better than it was when it was open partially for the fireworks a couple of years back. Everything's finished and grades are established and lawn is present. So it's going to be a really nice viewing area for the fireworks on the 30th. I just really hope for nice weather that night because it's going to be something special this year. So going into our topics tonight for the work session, the first topic we have this evening are 4 cabaret license application reviews. I think you have those in your packets, but I'll read them now anyway. As you know, as part of Village Code, any business that operates live entertainment is required to have a cabaret license per Village Code, and those 4 applicants that have went through the internal process here between the building and the police department are up for discussion tonight with the board, and we may offer some internal comments for you to consider as well, but I think you've received those already as part of our internal mailings. They are Ada Hayes Restaurant, the Boathouse Restaurant, El Monabita Sports Restaurant, and Serenita's Lounge. Those are the 4 applications, and I believe we may have some representatives from each tonight to present on their own behalf, but I open it up now to the board to discuss each application.
Thank you. I would like to hear from the chief. I forwarded some of his email comments, if you wouldn't mind weighing in. Obviously,
Thank you.
they went through the entire process as needed by the building department end, but we always like to hear from our
Sure.
law
Is there a
enforcement.
particular order you wanted to go in, or do you want to touch these as a group or individually?
Whatever feels right to you.
Sure. If you could just remind me the order they were in, and I'll.
The
Adahi's was the
first one
first?
is Ada Hayes Restaurant.
That one, as I stated in my comments, has been of all the establishments in Ossining has been our biggest problem. The blotters that are attached, as we're required to with this application, are volumes of calls here, and they generally will surround overly intoxicated patrons. There's fights. There's broken. There was a broken window at one point recently. Neighbors have complained about the trash that ends up there in the morning. We've met with the owner and we've spoke to him about how he runs his business. He's assured us that he's looking to make things better. Notwithstanding, we haven't really seen a huge effort to change the way that business is run. We as a department have serious concerns about this particular place. We dedicate quite a bit of resources there. I believe there were 400 plus blotters there over the past 5 years. And generally those are, they're narrowed down to Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we're there quite a bit. A lot of those are premise checks and cops sitting on the bar and keeping an eye on things. That just speaks to the requirement of our presence there in order to keep things from getting out of control. We've just not seen a lot of cooperation from this owner to make things better, and it's our position that a cabaret is going to make this a worse problem than a better one.
Have they had a cabaret license in the past?
Not to my knowledge.
If I may, we denied the Cabaret license last year and the year before.
In addition to that, they haven't had a cabaret license, but according to some of the reports that are there, it appears that that hasn't prevented them from operating a cabaret, as I believe they've been cited for that a few times.
That's a violation that you're able to write up?
That's right.
The police department is able to?
Yes.
Okay. Do we want to weigh in on that one first, or do we want to hear the chief's input on all four? Do you
All four, I
want
think.
to give us the other three?
Sure, who's
The
next?
The next one will be on the agenda, Boathouse Restaurant.
The Boathouse has basically no contact with us other than stopping by and checking on them. They've been cooperative. I know they've been looking to have a cabaret for some time. We're glad to see them acquiring proper permits, so there's no reason for us to have a position against them.
Serenitas?
That's a new business looking for a cabaret, so we don't really have a lot of history there. The owner of Sirenitas and El Manabita, they are the same. So we've had some conversations with him. He has been proactive. He stops in the police station periodically. We've had some growing pains, a few bumps in the road. But what we've talked about with the other establishments that we recently issued a cabaret licenses to is that, we are halfway through the year at this point, and it offers the village a good opportunity to issue the license, and we can reevaluate come December when we're looking at next year. So my position would be that he should have it within reasonable hours, as if we've done with the other ones, and with an ounce of caution, just to say that staying within the requirements of the cabaret license is really important to us and the neighbors.
Okay.
And just for clarification, and for the record, those comments apply to both, being that they're the same owner, El Manabita and Serenitas.
That's right. So far we've dealt with the owner more in the way of El Manabita because Serenitas hasn't had events or planned anything. The property on Main Street is a larger one where he sometimes hosts private parties or larger events. So that's the one that we're really working on. Also, there's a lot more residential property down that way, so the neighbors there are sensitive to loud music late at night. We are still finding our way with that one. The one thing I can say is that this owner has stopped in more than once to touch base with me and to check on things and see how he can do things differently. So while we may not get it right every time, he's making a good effort. So I'll give him credit for that.
So what I'm hearing is that the Boathouse, El Manabita, and Serenitas, you would be supportive of moving forward with, the board moving forward with doing a cabaret license under the same conditions as the ones that were recently granted, but you have serious concerns about Adahi's, and I guess that's what the board has to decide.
And just a quick thing, Serenitas was in front of us I believe a month ago. So, and the reason why it wasn't their last resolution was because it didn't pass the building inspection check.
That's correct, and all of the violations have been cleared up at this point.
Right. And the other restaurants, the other locations, I should say, the building department approved on all the safety issues.
Yes, they've
Okay.
cleared up everything on all four of these that are on the agenda this evening.
Okay. All right.
And just a reminder that the license isn't a right. It's something that can be revoked should the conditions of the license not be adhered to. So you always have the right to do that. And so, that it's the collateral in the game if it's granted, the license is granted. And it's good to hear that the owners are moving forward and, trying to be the best they can be.
So I move to, I'll be in favor of going with the chief's recommendations.
Second that.
Okay, so then we'll move forward with granting the cabaret licenses to the Boathouse, El Manabitas, and Serenitas, but not to Adahi's.
If you could give me the times and dates, and I would entertain a motion to go back into legislative session. You could pass those this evening.
Great.
In light of the fact that it'll be another two.
What were the other ones?
2
Thursday,
o'clock,
Friday,
I think.
Saturday till 2 a.m.?
I believe so, yeah.
Yes. It was from 1 p.m. to 2 a.m.
Whatever. Problem's not happening at 2 p.m., so.
Nope. Thursday.
Whatever's consistent with the ones that were recently granted.
So that's 1 p.m. to 2 a.m. Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
That's correct.
Great.
So if I could have a motion to go back into a legislative session.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Wow, we got to do it ourselves.
Isn't it great? And I have a resolution I can read into the record, and we'll ask for a motion on that. Whereas pursuant to Chapter 100 and 171 of the Code of the Village of Ossining, the authorized representatives of 3 businesses, Up the River Restaurant, Inc., known as the Boathouse at 46 Westerly Road, Sirenitas Lounge, Inc., at 12 Croton Avenue, and El Manabita Sport Restaurant, Inc. at 107 Main Street have made application to the village clerk as the licensing officer for cabaret licenses for live music. And whereas pursuant to Section 100-3 and 100-5 of the Code, the village clerk has caused an investigation into said application and referred the same to the Board of Trustees for final approval. Now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to the village code, the Board of Trustees hereby approves cabaret licenses as follows. Up the River Restaurant, Inc., the Boathouse, on Thursday through Saturday from 1 p.m. to 2 a.m. Sirenitas Lounge, Inc., Thursday through Sunday, 1 p.m. to 2 a.m., and El Manabita Sport Restaurant, Inc., Thursday through Sunday, 1 p.m. to 2 a.m. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Can I just make
All those
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't let you comment?
No. Yeah.
on the board? On the board?
Sorry, on the board. Go ahead.
Just a quick comment in regards to that here. I guess the restaurant, and this goes to the owner of that place. That doesn't mean that you cannot try to apply it again. The part of the board has a big concern, and it's because of the recommendations of our police chief is that there's a lot of incidents going on in that property or in that place. So if we can strain some of that stuff out, how can the police and you guys work together and resolve a lot of those issues that's been going on, not just this year, but from previous years? The board may consider doing something different at a later time. Maybe not this year, but maybe sometime next year, if anything. But it's a collaboration that I think we are trying to work, and I know the police department has been trying to work with all the businesses downtown, not just downtown, everywhere. But this, again, it's not the first time that this has come out in front of us, and it's not the first time that the same issues have been in front of us too. So that's a big concern that we have, is safety, not just for the businesses, but also for the communities and residents that frequent the downtown. So that's all.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Well, before we go back in the work session, if I may, the Penn Corporation Council's efforts there, I want to point out that it's appreciated that she took the initiative to actually write the resolution to go back to public so we can allow the owners of the restaurants to take advantage of this beautiful weather and hopefully have some successful cafe dining before the next public session with the 5th Tuesday. That's another 2 weeks away. So thank you for doing that, Corporation Council.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy. Thank you. Thanks, Chief. You're good.
I have a motion to adjourn back into work session.
So moved.
Second?
On the board.
All those in favor?
Aye. Well done. Why are you wearing a lot of hats today, Lori Lee? Thanks a lot.
Okay, so our next topic is a sidewalk cafe permit, which is also the owner of El Manabita, and he's still here. And the discussion, as you know, if you would like to have outdoor dining along the right-of-way sidewalks in front of your establishment, you're required to go through the permitting process, which has been completed internally. And again, we bring that forth for discussion this evening. And we have the owner here still to respond to any questions that you may have of him.
And as you know, that approval is done through the manager's office, but in the case where the minimum setback requirements of 4 feet from any obstructions it cannot be met, they do need to come to a public meeting, prove that they've notified their neighbors by certified mail, and they come to see if there's any impediments to having the waiver. So I have also prepared a resolution for that waiver, which would allow them to move forward with the beautiful weather and in advance of the holiday weekend, if you wanted to move forward on that as well. They are looking for setbacks from some pre-existing village maintained obstructions. There's some parking meters. There's a tree well. They have plenty of room for the passage of pedestrians 4 foot in front of their establishment. They're looking to put the cafe, much like Pine and Oak is, on the curb rather than up against the property. They have 3 doors across the front of their property, which is 25 foot wide. So they have plenty of room to put small cafe-sized tables. They're also proposing removable barriers, much like Pine and Oak, of a tape nature. They're not looking to adhere anything to the sidewalk, so the DPW had, our village engineers here, they had no objections to the placement of the ropes, the tape ropes in the area to accommodate the umbrellas and the tables necessary for a cafe.
Great. I don't see any reason why we have to belabor it. We love having sidewalk cafes, so if they've met all of the requirements, then I look forward to dining outside.
Yeah,
in a new location.
just I guess, I don't have a problem at all with any of that. I guess my only question is, usually, we typically, and I probably missed it, I don't know, because I don't see it in my packet, do you usually have a diagram?
Yes, they've included a
They
diagram.
did, so I missed that one. How many tables is that one?
We have the gentleman here.
Hi, good evening. I'm Fernando Vasquez, live on 35 Montgomery Street, and I'm the manager of the Manavita Sport Restaurant. For the Sidewalk Cafe, that we apply for 4 table, 3 umbrella. The table is 18 by 18 feet, inch. It's a small table. And
So it's
Cafe size.
cafe size, okay.
Yeah.
So it's very similar to, okay,
Yes.
all right.
That's what works in our sidewalks, apparently.
That's what works. Well, I mean, if it's successful, there may be an opportunity to have more tables next year, or larger tables, or any nature, so.
Thank you.
I don't have a problem, I just didn't see the diagram in here, so that's all.
We've been working with Fernando for the past couple days, and we were just waiting for the last of his application to filter in. And actually, it was just completed yesterday, but we did want to keep it as an open item on the agenda, just in case. And he was able to meet all of his requirements in the time.
Great.
So if you would like to move forward, do I have a motion to go back into legislative session?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Okay. And now I'll read a resolution approving the waiver, necessary waiver for the 4-foot setbacks. Whereas pursuant to Chapter 216 of the Ossining Village Code, the Board of Trustees acknowledges receipt of a request dated May 16th, 2016, but I'm going to butcher his name, Aracelis Gonzalez, for a setback waiver in connection with a sidewalk cafe permit for the business El Manavita Sport Restaurant, Inc., located at 107 Main Street. And whereas at a public meeting on June 22nd, the board reviewed the request and considered the totality of the circumstances. Now therefore be it resolved that the village board hereby finds that the requested waivers from the 4-foot setbacks to the pre-existing village maintain obstructions in the public sidewalk are appropriate, since A, circulation, traffic flow, or parking in the vicinity will not be impeded. B, the obstructions cannot be relocated. C, access to adjacent properties and businesses would not be disrupted. And D, that the retractable belt barrier to be used by the applicant is portable and not fastened to the sidewalk, making it easily removable in the event of an emergency requiring immediate access to the entirety of the sidewalk. And be it further resolved that, for the reasons stated above, pursuant to Section 216-4K of the Code, the Village of Ossining Board of Trustees hereby approves a waiver from the 4-foot setback requirement from the pre-existing village maintain obstructions located in front of the subject property at 107 Main Street. And be it further resolved that the waiver granted herein shall be personal to the entity El Manabita Sport Restaurant, Inc., not a right which runs with the land, and such waiver shall be valid and run concurrent with the underlying Sidewalk Cafe license, to wit, April 1st through October 31st of 2016. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
On the board? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Do I have a motion to go back into work session?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, another one?
Thank you.
Good. Thank you very much, Corporation Counsel.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you, Lori Lee.
Got it.
The next item on the agenda
Pleasure.
is a presentation by Mr. Matthew Galata from the Galata House and his proposed event, Family Fun Day, to take place in Nelson Park. I've had some preliminary discussions with Superintendent of Recreation Christopher Soy, and he has also had some preliminary discussions with Mr. Galata regarding the same. And they're going to coordinate their efforts accordingly and make sure everything is administratively processed through the Recreation Department. And Mr. Soy made a recommendation that, due to the nature of the event, Mr. Galata be allowed to come and discuss his proposed activities at Nelson Park to you all this evening. So if you would like, I'd like to have him to the dais to discuss the event, and then we can open it up for further discussion.
Great.
Mr. Galata?
Join us.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and Village trustees, Village interim manager, and Laura Lee, Joe. My name is Matthew Galata, president and founder of Galata House. So it's really an exciting time of year. We have started June 1st last year, Galata House, and we've had numerous events in the village. We partnered with the village on some family fun days previously, and it was great working with the different department heads and village government. It was a success. This year, we wanted to make it not so many. We did 2 or 3 last year. We wanted to only do 1 this year because it's our 1-year anniversary, and we wanted to celebrate it at Nelson Park. And Galata House will be, there's no partnership in the village this year because when I talked to Mr. Soy, I asked if Galata House could just run it, and because we had no problems last year, he's comfortable of letting Galata House take care to run with it. So I'm happy about that. I did. So here's the scope. It's going to start around 12:30, noonish on July 30th is my request. It's going to end at 8:30. I always try to. I'm made to believe it could be to 10 o'clock. Last year I stopped it at 9. This year, because we're starting earlier, there's no reason, and because of fear of noise after 10 o'clock, 8:30 means everybody's out at 8:30. So I'll be stopping at 8 in the evening. I talked to the chief of police, Chief Sylvester, yesterday, and he put me in contact with Detective, the new detective. And I'll think of his name when I'm keep on
Zero?
working. No. But I'll think of his name. But anyway, for permits. So I went to Marianne Roberts and
Oh, was it Pete Carpenter?
Mr.
Oh, okay.
Detective Carpenter. Thank
Detective
you.
Carter. Yeah,
Mr.
of
Frilli.
course, yes. For
So,
pending.
Pete is my contact. Last year, there were schematics of a topographical map. So the chief said sometime next week, just hand that over. He just wants that on record of what the layout is like last year. I talked to the fire department, Chief Matt Scarduzio, and he's very supportive like last year, so I'm very happy about that. We have some sponsors, and I'm looking forward to a really just an awesome event for the community. We have, with the permits, I talked to Marianne Roberts, and so everybody's going to be, who's selling stuff will be getting a picture ID, fingerprinted, and then the police will be issuing a picture ID. And I guess that's how it is. So unless there's something changes, I'm open to either way. I'm just really excited. We have an Austin family who went through a really hard time, and here's a way helping. We help Westchester County residents, but every year I try to help the community that I do the event in, because I've done events up and down the river so far. And last year, just so everybody knows, we actually raised and gave out that night $1,100 to Mr. Logan Ippolito, who had a brain melanoma, for Austin High School. We raised $250 for Jessica, who won the Junior Olympics luge. We have a Junior Olympic luge champion at Austin High School. And Dream Shepherd. We did a huge birthday party that day for her, over 20 people. And 1 year cancer-free, and Go Dream. So, we try to help out people in the community. We try to work with different organizations, because it's not just about Galata House. We're trying to bring unity together. So if there's any questions, I would like my request to be granted.
We got emails from Superintendent Soy on this subject, and I know there's been some back and forth to make sure that you had all the information you needed to be able to go through the process, and it sounds like that's moving forward. Is there any impediment to granting this to Galata House at this point?
No, just to reiterate what Mr. Galata stated, I know he's been in contact with the clerk's office.
Mike, use your mic.
Sorry about that. To reiterate what Mr. Galata stated just previous to me, the police department, the clerk's office, and the recreation department have all been contacted to procure the necessary insurances and identification requirements for the vendors, and the layout and the coordination with the recreation department. So
As long as all goes forward, then I'm supportive of it.
if everything comes forth with all those components, then good luck with your event.
Thank you very much, and good evening.
So I am just curious, from a marketing standpoint, what time does it start?
Well, it's actually going to be starting at 12 o'clock, between 12-ish and 12:30.
Yeah, that's the ish that I was wondering, yeah.
I had to ask, because with the application, what Mr. Soy asked me to do, just because I'm not going to be actually having the event at 10 o'clock in the morning, there'll be people there setting up. So technically, the request is at 10 o'clock in the morning, because people have to set up, but the event doesn't start till 12-ish, 12:15.
All right, what time is the public invited to
12
join you
o'clock.
for the event?
12
o'clock. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you very much.
Good luck with your organization.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your 1-year anniversary. Manager Foley?
Thank you.
Yes.
Please, question.
Chatty night.
The first thing, thank you for the Sidewalk Cafe, but I got two places. There's El Manavira and Sirenita. For Sirenita, I applied for the Cabaret license, just for DJ, but I got juice box, and I got almost 2 months closed, but I don't have a coin operator license, and I'm been closed for almost 2 months.
Oh, okay, this is beyond my
Yes, that's
depth of knowledge.
a license that's granted directly from the clerk's office. So she reopens tomorrow morning. She's here on the first floor, and that usually is a pretty standard license. Now that you have your cabaret in place, it's a payment of a fee and completion of an application.
No, I got already
do?
paid.
Oh, great.
Cabaret,
then
I
she
paid
sh-
together. Cabaret,
Has she
refreshment.
issued you the license itself, the document for the coin operated?
Yeah, but I'm waiting for the.
You are? Okay.
Mhm.
You should stop by her office tomorrow morning, and she should have it ready for you.
Okay,
But
great.
that's not keeping your business from being open, is it?
Excuse me?
Your business is still open. You just don't have
No, it's closed, but I got.
because you have a jukebox and you don't have a
That's-
coin
that-
operator license. Okay,
yeah,
you know
but-
what? We'll follow up with the clerk, but
The,
it's not contingent on the
and the
cabaret
both-
license either. So
I respect I respect what the chief say, but in my place, in both, never get any incident. The only incidents that we got is the license, the music license, DJ license. They found the DJ both every time that they go. That's only we had. I don't know if the tenant or the neighbor call,
So
but
this,
I know got no incidents.
this is part of the clerk's office, so we don't have any jurisdiction to weigh in on it. So she's going to have to follow up with you. But
So, yeah, I'm going to, when I go upstairs after the meeting is over, I email her all of the materials, and so she will have them first thing in the morning if
Okay.
you need to stop by there.
Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thank
Have
you.
a good evening. Thank
Have a
you.
good night.
The next item on the agenda is a discussion on a third Harbor Square bond reduction. This bond reduction is being requested by Ginsberg Development for the site work associated with their Harbor Square development on and off their site that has a public utility improvement. Just to give us quick summary of what a lot of that entails is a lot of the right-of-way stormwater work, potable water, sanitary sewerage, landscaping details, and streetscape details that are all part of the public improvements associated with their site plan development, including the work on Snowden Avenue, which is off-site but still part and parcel with their development. So when this project started, they were asked to post a bond, a performance bond for that work, and we track it, and when they complete certain levels of work, they're allowed to submit for a bond reduction because it does cost them. They have to pay for a bond until the work is completed, and we maintain that in the event that they don't finish. We have the money set aside to complete it ourselves because it is a public improvement. So we are in receipt, and it's been reviewed by myself and Corporation Counsel. We are in receipt of a memorandum concurring with the resolution for the bond reduction, which I believe is part of your packet this evening, which we are going to recommend be read and passed at the next legislative session. The bond reduction, just to give you a quick recap, would just require the bond to be reduced. What was originally in excess of $3 million, because of them being significantly complete with all their work, the bond reduction new amount would be $845,000 that they're still going to maintain as incomplete bondable work that we have in our records in the event that the finished work doesn't get completed. We do not anticipate that, but this is just protocol. So the resolution is in front of you this evening for consideration for passing at the next legislative session.
We did this before.
Yes, you did.
This is the third.
Yeah, no.
Yep.
Don't have
No
any
questions.
objections, no questions.
Sounds good. Glad to have the work moving forward.
Okay, then we will make sure that it's on the legislative agenda on the 6th,
Thank you.
which is the next meeting. Thank you for that. The next topic for discussion this evening is something that I believe we discussed in a work session some time ago when we were considering 3 village parcels all down around the Secor main corridor. And at the time we discussed it in the work session, it was the board's request that the manager go out and procure property assessment of 3 parcels, 2 on Secor and 1 on Hunter. The one we wanted to bring back forth tonight for discussion is 72 and a half Hunter Street. Make sure I gave you that right address by looking at it.
Yep, that's what
Yes,
I have.
72 and a half Hunter Street. The reason we wanted to bring that parcel forth for consideration as surplus property to the village is because it's presently a non-conforming lot in that area on Hunter Street. It has existing residences on either side of the property, and it also has an overlay easement to accommodate a stormwater line, a village stormwater line that transmits stormwater from Hunter down to the stormwater systems on the Barlow and Water Street areas before it's discharged into the Hudson. For that reason, although there was a house there prior, we would never allow a house to be constructed there again, not to mention that the lot is undersized, and it has an overlay easement on the whole parcel for that utility itself on the entire lot limits. So I wanted to bring it forth to you tonight to consider it surplus and discuss the property assessment that was done, discuss a little bit about the market value that was given for the property of $12,000, and I believe you all received the assessment some months ago,
Some months ago, that's what I'm looking for, that's why. Here.
and discuss it tonight with Corporation Counsel present to talk about the process if you see fit to go forth with how we declare surplus, and then we would obviously put it on public market as surplus, and also make the two adjoining property owners on the north and south areas of that property aware that it's surplus, because they would be the likely folks who would consider a purchase of that property.
And if they purchase the property, they could not build on it, as you said, what could they use it for?
I think that the parcel would be would be very restricted in its use. It would possibly be collateral parking to the parking that's already afforded them in front of their, or on their street rather, if they had a appropriate tag. So it could be a private parking area. It could be just a lawn for recreation for the residents of those homes. But as far as permanent structure, we would not allow that because of the easement associated with the stormwater line that runs under that parcel.
I don't have any objection to moving it to surplus and notifying the neighbors to see if they might be interested. Any other thoughts on it?
No, I'm just glad that that property can finally move over and we can move forward with that. So,
Objections.
Great. Please do
Okay.
so.
I'll put a resolution on for your next legislative session declaring it surplus.
Terrific.
Great, thanks.
Happy to see the property be used in a more productive manner than it has been in recent years.
Okay. Thank you for that. Our next item, I'm going to turn the next two items over to Corporation Counsel to discuss a tax tertiary settlement and then an open tax lien.
Okay, thank you. As you know, the town settles our tax certioraries for us. This one was a little different because in the middle of the process, the property changed hands. So we took some extra time, and with the assistance of Deputy Treasurer Dale Ferrara, who I rely on heavily for the math part of my life, as well as Treasurer Tom Warren, we were able to come up with calculations that clearly represent which entities are to receive which portions of the refunds. We have a property at 15 Camp Woods Road and 17 Camp Woods Road. As you know, it's a unique situation at Camp Woods that you own the building, but you don't own your lot. So the Camp Wood Realty LLC takes the action on behalf of the owners of the properties. So we have two properties. We have taxation, and one property at 15 Camp Woods Road is due total payment refund in $6,048.93, and the other one at 17 Camp Woods Road is due payment and refund $3,043.36. So I'd like to put these on for the next legislative session to get these refunds paid and the assessment roll revised.
I have no objections on that.
I'm just surprised that it's so much money because I know what these houses are. They're modest homes and they don't own the property, so it's kind of a stunning amount, but we don't have a choice, so go ahead.
The next item is actually good news because an individual, as you know, once the tax liens have been, the redemption period, the tax liens are considered foreclosed, and you need authorization to make payments. We do have a property owner that is willing and able and has shown sufficient evidence that they can make a post-redemption date payment, which would bring the taxes up to date completely for the property at 135 State Street. This is the only open amount. They have to, as you know, be paid in reverse order, starting with current taxes. So this is the last piece of that puzzle, and they'll be coming in to make that payment. And I'd like to put this resolution on authorizing the finance office to accept these payments post-redemption date.
Yes, please do.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Those were easy. That's
Great.
all I have.
That's
Okay.
it?
We are way ahead of schedule.
Anybody?
Oh, John and Rick are going to be so jealous.
We're not going to draw any correlation between their absence. Mike on?
Hello, hello.
All right. So do we have a motion to adjourn to executive session for discussion of personnel?
So moved.
Second?
The board? All in favor? Aye. All right, and with that, we say thank you very much for joining us for this brief meeting. We got through a fair amount of work to keep things moving forward primarily. And we have a fifth Wednesday next week, so you'll have to tune in to something else on a Wednesday night. And we look forward to seeing you at the fireworks next Thursday, the 30th, and then back at the Birdsall-Fagan Police Court Facility on Wednesday, July 6th for our next legislative session. This meeting is adjourned to executive session.